Welcome to the ArcDox podcast. This podcast features discussions from leading industry professionals regarding building information modelling and digital construction. If you enjoy this podcast, or if you would like us to feature a specific topic, please let us know in the comments section of our social media platforms. You can also check out our website at www.arcdox.com for more information.
Welcome back to the ArcDox podcast. We're joined this week with Dan O'Neill, the editor of the Irish Building magazine. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
Dan, do you want to give us a kind of a brief introduction to yourself and your background?
Yeah, I'm a senior editor of Irish Building magazine, managing editor of BIMIreland.ie, and ISO Awards coordinator, and I'm a researcher.
So your kind of background at the minute then is media. Like how would you say that media is used to inform, like at the minute, and educate people?
I think Irish Building magazine has a history about, it's going into its third decade. I think, like say, the future of the magazine will say in hard copy, but I mean, there's a strong future like in hard copy, but I think there's also the digital edition. Yeah. There's also the website, and I think going into the future there's space for both digital and hard copy.
We're also joined this week by Pat Slattery. Welcome, Pat. Thanks very much for joining us. Pat, is there any questions that you would like to ask Dan?
Thanks, William. No, I think I'd agree with Dan. There's definitely a place for printed media, and I think alongside digital media. Some people prefer to consume digitally, other people prefer to consume on paper, and I think there'll always be a place for that.
Well, Irish Building magazine, I suppose, is the one the first construction title in Ireland to deliver a clear message on BIM and its benefits and its shortfalls. And so it's through analysis we provided a landscape for companies to investigate how BIM could work for them. Issue by issue, we provide a roadmap for companies to move, forward into digital construction.
And companies need that. I mean, there's a lot of information out there, but people need to get to the point. Yeah. And I think the magazine does that very well.
When we first asked our readers about BIM, this is going back 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, all said that they've heard about it, but most said that they didn't know much about it at the time. Only a handful of contractors at the time were using BIM in a meaningful way. In last year's leaders in construction, we've seen that most contractors are advanced in BIM, and the rest are well on their journey.
So you've seen, from your point of view, you've seen a significant development.
Yeah, in the last 4 years, I mean, it's a major change in the industry, and I think, like I said, BIMireland has sort of developed along the way with that.
I'd agree with that. I mean, ArcDox, we started up 10 years ago, and certainly in the first few years, it was about telling people what BIM was as opposed to how to do it. Now it is more helping people do it and understand what has to be done, because there's more and more companies getting into it.
And what's the demand present for BIM courses?
I think for BIM courses, still in terms of training, it's difficult really to get people to take time off work to come training. So to try and find a training delivery method that suits people can be difficult. When we had a slowdown and a downturn in the market, and you would approach companies, they would suggest that they didn't have enough work to think about BIM or to get trained. Now when you approach companies, a lot of them are too busy to release people to get trained.
And so what are your most popular courses?
Most popular courses are the Revit architecture courses, and also Navisworks. I think people are quite interested in that. And to probably a lesser extent, some of the other specialist courses we do around COBE, and the sort of overview of BIM and BIM standards courses that we do, they're quite interesting for people.
ArcDox are very active online, and I mean, on social media channels, LinkedIn and Twitter. Obviously, there's a large sort of BIM community in the last few years that, like I said, that have gone online, and they're very active across different platforms. And do you think that's very important, in modern construction industry?
It is very important, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are a business promoting BIM, but it is a passion for us as well. It's something we fundamentally believe in transforming the industry and going more digital and making the industry more efficient. And it's something we believe needs to be shared across the industry, across all disciplines and all parties who are involved in buildings at any stage, from construction design through to buildings in use. People need better quality information. And I think to get the message out there about BIM and about getting their information in a digital way and moving people in that way is important for the country. It's important for society as well to have access to that information.
And did you find this? It's like so the network of contacts has vastly increased due to social media use. I mean, like with regards to what you do.
It's the only way we could reach that many people with our message. It's through social media. I mean, phoning people would take forever to get in touch with people. Through social media, you can contact an awful lot of people, and you contact people on their terms. I mean, they can choose to listen or choose not to listen. They can choose to read what you're putting out there, or they choose to ignore it.
There's a good, strong online community, and you go and look at the different hashtags. Hashtag Irish BIM Crew, or hashtag BIM People, hashtag BIMireland. You can see a lot of conversation going back over the years, past gatherings, see the breakfast meetings, and different digital construction and other construction tech events. I think it's definitely a culture change in the last few years. So with the use of social media, but BIMireland and Irish Building have been building a following. I think, like I said, we have a very strong construction supply chain following. We have 4,700 for Irish Building magazine on Twitter, and it's 3,200 for BIMireland on Twitter. And on LinkedIn, we also have a following. And you've been involved in webinars too over the past few years, have you?
We did a series of webinars a few years back. We've had a bit of a gap in doing the webinars, but we offered training through a series of webinars, which were quite popular, because people could buy one license for a webinar and then could run it in their office and have a number of people sitting around listening to the webinar and learn that way, rather than having to take a long period of time out of the office to go learning. They could do it an hour at a time or a couple of hours at a time.
Yeah, well, webinars are very popular presently. I see there's a couple of webinars at present from on our BIMireland for ArcDox with COB and looking at digital construction and the future. And I suppose what topics have you covered in the past? Like saying, what topics would you like to cover in the future with regards to videos and webinars?
In terms of webinars, what we've done in the past has all been around Revit. It's all been about how to use Revit, sort of tips and tricks and some learning in terms of Revit itself. We haven't really broadened it out beyond that. And that's something we could do, and I suppose this podcast series is trying to go a little bit in that direction. And it's not a webinar, but it's a similar type of approach.
I think Ralph Montague has covered Lean before as well, Lean with them. Yeah. That was very popular, I think it was 2 years ago.
I think that has well over 30,000 views, I think, now on YouTube, so there's quite a lot of people that have watched that.
How many courses have you at present?
We have Revit Architecture, Structure MEP, we've got Advanced Families, we've got the BIM Management, Strategic Overview of BIM Standards, an Introduction to COBE, and Navisworks training. So those are the courses that we...
Dynamo.
Dynamo as well. Those would be the principal courses that we run. And those are typically 2 or 3 day courses where people would come here and attend, but we can also run the courses in people's offices. And we offer training. I mean, CETA, SkillNet. CETA offer a very affordable 8-day in-house training program, which is a very affordable way for companies to get tailored BIM training specifically designed to suit their company that can be delivered on a day by day or a half day by half day basis, whatever suits the company's best.
I suppose in the last year, Irish Building has had over 204,000 views online. I think it's 17,000 unique, approximately over 17,000 unique visitors each and every month. So I suppose that's over the course, spread out. Like it's been climbing, the figures have been increasing over the past few years. So people viewing the magazine online, but also reading the website, news items, data.
And how broad is your reach? And that's called BIMireland, but
all over the world. There's people contacting from China, there's people contacting from Australia. BIMireland it's international. On the website you have interviews with experts from Paul Doherty and David Philip. We do BIM around the world. We do BIM people interviews. For BIM around the world, in the last 2 years we covered BIM in Germany, BIM in Dubai, BIM in Spain, obviously BIM in the UK, and BIM in Scandinavia as well. But we've also covered lean in other countries. We've covered lean in Scandinavia. We've done interviews, like say, with lean experts like Laura Koshkala. They're all available to view in past issues, but also like say on the website. So it's a truly international. It's an international reach. I think the modern industry, it's very different, like I said, to 20 years ago, or at least 10 years ago. Whereas now, like I think borders sort of, when it comes to expertise, borders matter a lot less.
It's a fantastic advert for the country as a BIM-ready industry.
Yeah.
The construction industry in Ireland is as advanced in BIM, I think, as any country is.
Yeah, and
it's good to be able to promote it.
I think the expertise that's presented on BIM Ireland, I think it's great for, like I said, clients to, like I said, to come across this information and see how advanced the industry is, and like it does a lot more for the mainstream. BIM Ireland, like I said, offers an image, a more realistic image of the industry and the roles that are there now than the mainstream does. And that, like I said, shows, like I said, the jobs you can achieve. Like I said, it's a modernised technological industry. You can go for a career as a BIM manager, whereas I don't think that's represented in the mainstream industry or the mainstream media at present. BIM Ireland provides Ireland's only independent and dedicated online BIM exclusive resource, offering regular news, interviews, and I suppose it gives information of what's happening in the construction industry. You have BIM news, events, BIM jobs, and obviously the very popular BIM people. Talking about BIM people, there's interviews in that section of the website with experts from across the world, and I definitely recommend if there's anybody listening to this podcast to read the interviews over the past 3 to 4 years and to see, I suppose, how the industry has changed and I suppose the massive projects that have been undertaken here and also abroad by Irish contractors. BIM Ireland has 8,000 unique visitors every month.
So Dan, do you think media has a role in promoting best practice?
Yeah, I think ultimately people would like to know about people. Case studies give the reader, that could be me or that is me, and they read about the experience of others adapting to change and embracing new technology. It becomes less scary when there is an example of a peer in the industry doing it. I suppose there's a psychology of reaching people and how to get the message out there. There's some great case studies in Irish Building magazine. I think it is important to cut through, let's say, the noise when it comes to construction projects and sending a message out into the industry. I think construction media like Irish Building, BIM Ireland do a good job in promoting the industry and work done by the people in it.
Which is fantastic, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of international studies out there, but people like to see studies close to home, through companies they know and people they know who have been working on these projects, and to see what's been achieved. Those type of case studies are fantastic. And I think sharing lessons learned, I think, is very important as well. And people tend to try and keep their own lessons learned under their hat. But I think sharing that across the industry is to everyone's benefit.
What do you think of, let's say, the surveys and the information that we have present? What do you think of the information we have at present on the uptake on BIM? Do you think we should be doing more surveys?
Well, I think surveys help. I think the surveys that have been done over the last few years are showing a definite rise in the number of projects and the number of people who are engaging in BIM and using BIM on projects. I think it's still hit and miss across the industry. There are still some people out there who are operating best practice in terms of BIM. Some people are doing BIM only because they've been asked to do it, and other people are not doing BIM at all, but may think they're doing BIM. And even across some of the bigger organisations, it can be hit and miss in terms of what teams people are involved in. In a large organisation, there may be 1 or 2 teams that are using BIM on projects and several other teams who are not. It'll take a little bit of time to get everybody to the same level where we leave behind the old practices of 2D CAD and inefficient ways of working, and everybody is moving on to virtual design and construction and BIM. But it's definitely going in the right direction. But more studies do help. They help to convince people that they're not alone and they're not doing it on their own. It helps to convince clients that the supply chain is there and is available and capable of delivering. Because I think some clients are still nervous that if they ask for BIM, that the supply chain won't be able to deliver. the contractors, subcontractor suppliers, are just not yet geared up. That's wrong. I think most of them are now in a position where if they're not quite delivering yet, they're ready to. The industry has transformed itself a lot in the last 5 years.
If somebody was looking for good data on the industry and the uptake of BIM, what surveys would you recommend?
Well, CETA and the